Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode in the Ultimate Track Guide series. Today we're at Suzuka, the home of F1 in Japan, and has been for a long time, apart from a few little interludes at Fuji. So let's dive into it. We're in a McLaren again in GT4, the 570S. I know you guys like this car and so do I. We're in a qualifying session for an endurance race that I'm doing, and let's dive into the lap as we come down the start-finish straight into the notoriously difficult first turn. It is so difficult to get this one right, and immediately we're looking out for this sign on the left hand side. A lot of people use this sign as their braking point. I don't like looking at the sign. I like looking at the tarmac sort of groove and curb at the edge of the track here, highlighted sort of right ahead of where the speedo is in front of us. And where we want to be braking in GT4 is about, it obviously depends in where you are on the race, but about halfway through this patch of tarmac and drain, and so difficult to do this first corner. There are a couple of different ways you can do it. You can either brake fully, then accelerate a little bit, and then brake again, or you can trail brake through it. I actually think that the sort of full braking approach is good for this McLaren. So that's what I've been doing so far in this sort of qualifying session. We need to get somewhere near this curb on the right hand side. See where it's slightly dark on the curb there, where the rubbers sort of rubber the track in, because otherwise we're just going to be flung out to the left hand side of the track. And it's really key that you get on the power nice and early to help the car rotate round, and as soon as you see this green area that I've highlighted, you need to be on full power. You can run it out as wide as you can on the left hand side, because you've got enough time to flick over to the right and back over to the left, drop it down a gear. You can clobber that curb as hard as you can. This one really good to get on the inside curb here, and later than you think, because actually the next two corners coming up is where a lot of time is won and lost. So we need to be able to apex slightly later here. We actually oversteer a little bit, which helps us set up for the left-hand corner. Again, getting on the curb on the inside. You don't want to go on the Astro too much or the green tarmac on the inside of the curb here. And there are two different approaches to this one. Either you can take it slightly slower and take a wider entry into the next right-hander, or you can take this one faster and then compromise yourself through the right-hander. I like the former. I like to take slightly less speed through this one. As you can see, we're sort of half throttle over to roughly the middle of the track, and then we use the sort of trail braking approach to get the nose into this right-hander. You can put the power down a lot earlier than you think you can and actually rotate the car around, because again we need to set ourselves up for the left-hander, this is such a crucial corner. As soon as you're near the curb and you think the car's going to grip, then you must floor it all the way up this hill, and it's imperative that you don't get a bit of a slide on. So let's watch that back in real time, remembering how fluid this first section is and how we always need to be thinking in our mind that we need to set up for the next corner. So halfway down the concrete strip on the left hand side, braking as hard as we can, waiting for that nose to dig in. As soon as it does, on the power, see the tarmac, grey tarmac on the inside, make sure you are on full power, drop down a gear just to get the nose in, make sure a little squirt of power there, late apex with this one. Try not to oversteer like I did there. Take slightly less speed through this left-hander to set up somewhere in the middle of the track for the right-hander, but not too far over to the middle, otherwise you just lose time. Again, you see the dark area on the tarmac here. As soon as you think you're clear and the nose is biting, then get the power on, because we're going uphill and we're into the second section. A little bit of time to think here is kind of a non-straight in these cars. You're looking out for this 50-metre board on the left-hand side. I like to have my braking point sort of ahead of me. I know a lot of people like to think that 100-metre board somewhere after it is the braking point, but I like to be able to see mine at all times. So we're slightly before the 50-metre board, dropping it down to third on the apex, straight back up to fourth. And remember, you can use so much of the track coming out here. This is about the limit that you can before getting penalty. And I just want to highlight this dark Astro patch that looks like it's been repaired, because that's our braking point. We'll sort of put the red spot halfway over it. And we're going to be braking nice and early for the second Degner here, because it's a super awkward corner. And actually, because you're braking on this Astro, you've got slightly less grip. Turn in at the end of the curb then, and you can again run it really out wide so your right-hand side of the tyre is just about on the track. Now, the hairpin, one of the most crucial corners on the circuit. It's so difficult to get right, and I'm going to tell you why, because now is where you decide how to get it right. It's all about the entry. You're either going to power in through this right-hander and brake at the end of the curb, and you're going to be going too fast, and you're going to be on the inside of the hairpin, which is going to make it very difficult, or you're going to let off slightly just before you brake, so you bring the nose of the car round to the right-hand side or in the middle of the track. It makes it so much easier. And pause it here and note my power input here, my throttle throttle input on the bottom right hand side of the screen, and I'm already back on the power trying to get the car rotated around. And as soon as I do that, I open up the steering, full power, get towards the end of this curve and go all the way over it onto the Astro, and that's to maximise how straight we're going out of that corner. Without that, you lose a lot of time oversteering. Let's look at that section again, coming into the first deck and then looking for the 50-metre board, dropping it down in 1 gear and then 2 gears just before the apex, straight back up to 4th, braking nice and early, off power for a long time, power on just as you get to the curb, making sure you open up your steering and straighten up, thinking about how we're going to enter this. If we're going too fast, we need to be prepared to be on the inside of the track here. Braking right into the apex, nice trail brake approach, quickly on the power but only gently, and then as soon as we can straighten up, we're at full power and we're into this again, a little bit of a non-straight. Don't ramp up over that curb on the right hand side, and we're thinking about how we're going to enter spoon. Notoriously difficult spoon, sort of double apex, double-edged sword left-hander here, and we're looking for this road on the right hand side, and the braking zone is always before that road across GT3 and GT4. We're going to be braking somewhere around there, and you don't need to brake too late here. It's all about getting a nice entry. You can go back on the power, and if you go over this curb on the right hand side of the track, you need to be prepared for the car to oversteer slightly. So I like to go over this curb but just open up the steering a little bit. We're hugging nice and tight. As soon as you're back on the power, you need to open that steering. You can go as wide as you want here pretty much without going the left hand tyres over onto the curb on the outside. A little bit of time to think before you come into 130R. Again, I like to have my braking point coming towards me, so I'm looking for this 50-metre board again on the right hand side. There it is in the nice red highlight. We're going to be dropping it down 1 gear to get the nose in, a dab of brake, let off the throttle, and as soon as we're on the apex, we're going to be changing back into 5th gear on the power. You may need to do a slight adjustment on the outside, but again, you can run it out right over that curb on the 100-metre board, sorry. Again, now I'm going to pause it just so you can see where I've been on previous laps, my tyres over the curb. You can cut the first half of this chicane so much. A little bit on the power, keep the power nice and consistent while you're on the curb on the going around the left-hand side of that, and be prepared to correct any slight oversteer if you get on the power slightly too early. And away we go into the start-finish straight. Let's look at that lap again then as we cross the line in a 10.4, which is going to give us provisional pole in this championship at the minute as a team. Teammates slightly quicker, but only by half a tenth or so. Shout out to Dave Skills. If you don't know his channel, I'll put a link just on the right hand side of the screen and in the description. So first corner, remember either to trail brake or to take the sort of braking acceleration approach nice and early on the power, but make sure you can adjust it on the way out so you don't run too wide. Over to the right hand side of the track, back over, clobber the curb, later apex on this right hander than you think you should, because you need to set up not for this left hander but for the next right-hander. We're on the right-hand side, central side of the track, and we're just keeping on the power nice and early to keep the radius of that corner nice and smooth. A lot of people like to double apex it, but actually I think it's quicker to just keep that constant apex on the inside. Looking for the 50-metre board into the Degners here, then dropping it 1 or 2 gears depending on how you enter it, straight back on the power, nice and early on the brakes, cruise. As soon as you get on that curb, it's full power and it's steering nice and straight. Think about how quickly you're going to enter this, whether you're going to be on the left or right hand side of the track. Brake at the end of the curve, nice and smooth down the gears. Second gear in this McLaren, it's going to be first gear in a GT3 car. Straighten the steering as quick as you can, go all the way out to the right hand side of the curve. You need to be aiming for that curve when you're on the exit there. I can't stress enough how straight you need to be, and a lot of the time you think that you're going to go off, but then you can just bring the car back round quickly. Braking before the road on the right hand side. Take a fast entry, but not too quick, obviously. You can go all the way over this curve on the outside, prepare for it to oversteer a little bit. Make sure the nose is in before you put the power down. Nice and smooth on the exit. If you're running a low aero setup like we are here on this 570S, you're gonna have some snap oversteer at some point around there, which is actually sort of what happened to us in the first section as well. Possibly needs to add a bit more aero. 50-metre board, change down 1 gear, straight back up into the gear you were in a lot of cars. Make sure you're mostly on the power here. You can run it all the way outside of the curb, brake on that 100-metre board, down the gears, clobbering the curb on the inside, now keeping the power smooth through this left-hander, sort of half, 2/3 throttle. Make sure you correct the oversteer, don't ramp up too much on the curb on the right-hand side, and that is a track below Suzuka. Guys, I hope that you found that useful. I know it's been a little while since we've done a track guide, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel and you like today's content and you want more track guides across GT3 and 4, then do hit that subscribe button and hit the like button as well on the video. It really helps grow the channel, and we're on our quest towards 1,000 subscribers, which is really cool. I'm really enjoying making this content, and I hope you guys are too. So let me know in the comments what you think. Till next time, guys, see you later.